Welcome to the Generational Podcast. This is episode 51.
Woohoo!
And my name is Owen.
And my name is Steven Brown.
I'm the son.
And I'm the father.
And this is the Generational Podcast.
Hey! So, what do we have? We got first things going is what? We got this clip I'm holding in my hand.
Play it.
Alright, so this here is Charles Schwab actually admitting to his globalization.
What we have seen in the elections in the United States, in the Brexit vote, this anger of people against globalization and against the elites. If you look what's happening
Really?
in the United States, particularly, you have this anti-system movement. What we are seeing is a revolution against the system.
Really?
It's dismantling the system, and we see some elements of this now in the new U.S. administration.
Now, how recent is that?
I have no idea, but it's from one of the other YouTube channels or channels that they have out there, and it's a clip saying basically like that we are doing a good job pushing back as America because we don't want to fall in line with the globalization, with Bill Gaetz, with
So, this happened at the World Forum.
yeah.
Recently.
He had to speak to the other elites, and he's like, they don't want us. We don't want you guys telling us what to do. This is America. We're free.
And he said it is going against the system, like he
built
owns
this
it.
system. And remember when we talked about how our last podcast, if you didn't see our last podcast, you can go back to 50 and see about Victoria Newland.
Yeah.
And what they did in Ukraine. It's basically him just admitting that he's done the same thing here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. I wonder who he put in there.
I wonder who's been ousted recently.
Really? So that's just the beginning. Who has been ousted recently? That's today.
Well, in the past few hours, Kevin McCarthy has been ousted out of...
Speaker of the House.
Exactly. And the vote was 216 to 210.
Yep, which means that Democrats and Republicans voted for America.
Now, people forget the real reason why Kevin McCarthy was ousted, and that's because of his endless funding to Ukraine. Now,
the American people have spoken, and the House is listening to the American people for... I'm excited.
we have already pledged $113 billion.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Billion with a B?
Billion with a B.
Not million. Billion?
Billion.
I'm sweating.
You know what? That's more than $2 million for each person here in America.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we only have about 300,000 people.
What? No way, dude. No way. I don't know, dude. Those numbers might need to be checked. But geez, I'm sweating. You're raising my blood pressure now. I didn't even think it was that much, but thank goodness for them starting.
And you know what's even worse? They were gonna pledge $24 billion more in the next 48 days.
Oh, during winter season.
During the time, this is right after their stopgap.
Yeah.
Meaning that they just voted to raise the ceiling on a debt ceiling. And then you're going to pledge or try to pledge $24 more billion
to a war that is not of ours. Like we said before, it's inflation in order to bankrupt our country. And these globalists are behind it all.
You know what?
He just admitted.
McCarthy, what he used to say was this. And I'm pretty sure this is on Newsweek 90 right now. And it says that, quote, I vote for aid to Ukraine. I support aid to Ukraine, McCarthy replied. I do not support what your country has done to Ukraine. He's talking to a Russian reporter. I do not support your killing of the children either. And I think for one standpoint you should pull out, and I don't think it's right. We will continue to support because the rest of the world sees it as just as it is. So McCarthy is saying that he will support Ukraine because the rest of the world wants to see them do it.
See, that's the thing is, it's not really the rest of the world. It seems to be the elites. And that's what, I think that's what they talk about when they say, oh, the rest of the world. It's the rest of the high-powered elites that want to run things, they want that war.
Mhm.
But the average American, we have nothing. We have no business being there. It's just a big waste of money.
Right. We want our gas low.
Yeah, we would like to be able to afford our own property without having globalists come in and buy up all our housing and then skyrocket it, send us into inflation, start telling us we can't use gas and oil, cutting off our gas and oil supplies. It's insanity. You know, it's crazy. And the thing that gets me is, didn't you hear about how they're trying to say that this is a Confederate move, that we're Confederates?
Now,
On
let me read
CBS,
this.
like-
let me read this. Let me just read this.
Go ahead, man.
Now, this is from the Washington Examiner, and this is October 2nd, so about a day ago. It says that McCarthy allies deny existence of Ukraine-backed deal. That's what the article is called, by Camry Mondiox. Now, close allies of the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are denying accusations that GOP leadership made a secret deal to secure Democratic support on a stopgap measure used to avoid a government shutdown. Now, that in and itself tells us that it isn't just Republicans. It is the Democrats as well.
So that's the thing, is they're working together. Like
Yeah.
you said, they're working together
Mhm.
and they're listening to the American people. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because that's their whole job was to do that. And when you start to think about how the average American wants, I don't want a division, right?
No,
and that's the
not
thing.
at all.
That's the thing. It's all even. Okay, we got to think about who owns these major corporations, these news corporations, Hollywood. Who owns these things?
Right.
Elites. Usually, they're not even. They're subsidized companies. So it's like, this guy lives in Germany, but he owns CBS or NBC. I'm not saying that he does, because I don't know who does at the time.
Well, you know,
I think it's
most of those companies
Murdoch
get
or something?
funding from Chinese organizations.
or
Or
globalists. Globalists, yeah.
And
And
the NWO?
or the
Oh,
WEC is
WEC.
now World Economic Forum now. WEF,
Not the
not NWO. They changed it to WEF, World Economic Forum,
WEF.
or
Okay.
World,
Economic Forum.
yeah,
All
or
right.
World Global something. They have.
Well,
there's
before we-
several names.
Before we go through that topic, I would like to add that earlier in the year, it says right here, back on Newsweek 90, that Congressman Matt Gaetz introduced the House resolution to end U.S. military and financial aid to Ukraine. And this was a year ago. And this was
A year ago.
Republicans versus Republicans. It wasn't Republicans versus Democrats. No, it was fighting within the
own
party.
Yeah, and this is what's happening when globalists are able to buy out our representatives. So then the representatives no longer have the American people's interest at heart. They have globalist interest at heart and their own pocketbooks. And what happened today was historic. It's never happened before. It's only been attempted 2 other times in history. One time, I think, in the 1950s, another time in 2015, and it never happened. This time, it actually happened. This time, they actually removed the Speaker of the House. That's the third person in command. If the president and the vice president go down, the Speaker of the House becomes the president.
And that is a huge deal.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is like I said before, these companies are trying to make a division already. The CBS actually said it. When we were watching them, they said, "Oh, well, the Confederates, Republican Confederates, what? Now you're trying to bring Civil War stuff back." So then they're going to say racist, but it's nothing to do with it, because Democrats and Republicans on both sides have said enough. And that's America. It's not a one race,
And the
right?
thing is, it has to do with our money.
It's American money. And the thing that kills me is you have the elites and then the people that are pushing the elite agenda on the news to create more separation between us, between all of us.
Mhm.
So that we're infighting, so we're not paying attention to what Charles Schwab and what Bill Gaetz or Fink are doing. Larry Fink are doing, or any of those guys. There's a lot more, but the ones that we can actually sit there and say, hey, we're sitting next to him. Oh, is that Fink right there? roll down the window. Hey, man, eat one. You know?
Well, you should just say bless him, right?
Yeah, well, now I've been doing that. I've been doing that a lot recently. You can ask my wife about that. I got cut off today, and I told this lady, I rolled up, and I was like, Lord bless you, you know? Bless you so much. I hope that you get home safely. Internally, it was hard for me to do that. It was really hard for me to do that, you know? There's a lot of stuff that's a little bit crazy in the world today, but the best thing is having cameras all the way around.
And you know what's interesting?
I've had that for like a couple months.
McCarthy, right? He's good friends with Zelensky.
Oh, yeah.
He's been with calls with him. He went to Istanbul. He talked with them at conferences. He went to Canada and everything. So, what are some interesting things about Zelensky that you know?
Well, obviously, it's been all over the news that the last time that Zelensky was in Canada, they praised a Nazi.
A Nazi?
Yeah, and which, by the way, I think Poland said that they wanted him now. He's 90 years old, and they're like, no. I don't care how old he is. We want him. You've been harboring a Nazi.
Yeah, a fugitive.
A fugitive. And then everybody in Canada's like, oh, and then all this stuff happened. And now it's first Trump supporters and Republicans are Nazis, but now they can't say Nazis anymore because now it's Confederate. So they're going to try and say Confederate. So they tried to move it over. Oh, we can't say Nazi now because they actually voted against Zelensky, which has ties to that, the new Nazi program, which also, if you didn't hear in his voice, you know, Mr. Schwab in the WEC, that's World WEF, they keep changing their acronym name, it drives me crazy. But that's part of it. You can hear, like, they want control of us. It's like we're just servants to them.
Well, we're just money-making machines. Well, sending money, you know.
Well, that's what they think, and this is a great stand for America, and I think it's a beautiful thing. People are like, "Oh, it's never happened. It's never happened before," because all the times we acted like we were just perfect. You know, the last time that I saw somebody get removed was Japanese Parliament, where they voted for somebody other than than Abe, R.I.P. Abe, Shinzo Abe, and they had a secondary guy come in. And he did the exact same thing that McCarthy did and went against the people and what the people wanted. And the Japanese parliament ousted him quickly and then voted in Shinzo again to be leader. Now the thing is, that's a beautiful thing because we're admitting that we made a mistake and then we clean it up.
And let me add to it, the majority party in Japan is the Liberal Democratic Party. And they didn't say that it was party versus party. They said it was person versus person.
Yeah, this is a country. This is our people. It's okay. What are you gonna choose? Are you gonna choose your neighbor and your friends and your family that live here in America? Or are you gonna choose that pile of money? And you can tell with the people that had voted on the policies recently, what they choose to do. They choose to line their pockets with money, and that's where our country's been going for a very long time. And then when we get a president in there that already had bank, I think it really opened up a lot of people's eyes. Even though there are a lot of people that hate him, you know what I'm talking about.
But he put some
money. You know what I'm talking
in
about, right? Who am I talking about?
Well,
who am I talking about? What president am I talking about?
I think it's the 45th president.
Yeah, 45. I think that's Donald J. Trump. That he got in there, President Donald J. Trump. Let me give him that respect because he earned it. He got in there and for 4 years didn't start a war.
No, he was the first president, and I think the past 3-4 decades to not start a war.
I don't even know if that's even. I thought he was one of the first only, but I'm not even sure about that because I'm crazy sometimes. But you know, it's also the thing that he was a millionaire before he got in there, and then even when he left, his actual net worth was less.
Yeah, he went down because most of his businesses took a hit.
because he was spending a lot of time taking care of America, and we went up, and everybody was
dogging on him.
yeah. Well, that's because the globalists were losing money, and they were losing grip on what was going on because he flipped their agenda and was like, no. He came over and grabbed their chessboard and flipped the whole table upside down. And was like, your game ain't crap. This is America.
He flipped the taxpayer, the tax
Example,
collector's
yeah.
table.
Yeah, he did the Jesus move, man. And then you have all these people that are still against him because, you know, for one reason or the other, they were stuck in traffic for a couple of hours in New York back in the 80s or something, or you know, or he did some business dealings that they didn't like. And here's another thing: did you know that the charges that they had didn't go through because of statute of limitations recently?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the judge, by the way, you can see the insane smile on his face when he let the cameras in, and Trump was sitting there, and then you have Abrams or whatever her name is sitting in the back, staring at the back of his head, just making things up. Which, by the way, you are stopping a candidate and an ex-president from being able to speak to the people. That's election interference right away. And she should be tried. She should get her license taken away. The judge that was sitting there, he needs to get his license revoked. All these people that are secretly, you know, on that side and trying to ruin his name right now when he's done nothing wrong, they need to get their stuff removed. They need to be removed from whatever office they hold.
The reason why they don't want him to speak is because they have a reason why they don't want him to speak. What I mean by that is they might be charged with problems.
Oh, you mean because of the whole, like, when he said child traffickers will be
Held accountable. Definitely.
So you think that this is their ditch effort to try and stop it from happening, because when he gets there, he's going to actually clean up? That's what you're saying?
He's going to clean up the whole
Everything.
Everything.
That's what you think.
Now, I think that criminal organizations have a play in not having Trump get into office or try to speak, because he is definitely against them.
And then you think about the link between criminal organizations and the elites.
Then it becomes apparent that money speaks.
Yeah, but does it speak in America still? Does money talk, or does integrity, honor, you know, the American way?
Stand.
Will the American flag stand? Will it still keep? Will we be able to get through this? I see the restructuring right now of taking McCarthy out of House Speaker. This is something that's a very big deal, because it shows that we have the ability and the honor and great judgment, humility as well, because that shows growth, that we're able to say, hey, listen, we made mistakes. These people, we put our trust in some of these people, and they've made a mockery of our government and our system and our people, and they've made hardships among people, and they've made people sick through pushing agendas about things that we can't talk about, but we can say, right?
The jab.
Yeah, the clot shot. You know, these types of things have happened, and these people have pushed it, and now we're seeing a big switch. I might have to put on that dress.
Well, that's
I might have to put on that dress. We'll see how far the restructuring goes. You know, it'll be, I don't mind. I'll wear it. I'll be Lady, what is it? No, I'll be Lady Justice. I'll be Lady Justice for the whole day if they restructure everything. If they literally restructure it and set things straight, I'll be Lady Justice for a day. Shoot. You name it, I'll do it. I love this country so much that I'm so proud of the 216 votes, both Democrat and Republican. Thank you very much. From the bottom of my heart, from the deepest depths of my soul, thank you. Thank you. Just please, I hope we can still recourse it and restructure it the way it should, set the right course and restructure the way it should be, because we can't just stop at McCarthy. We have to get them all out. All of them. All the ones that decided that the American people, that they're going to take money over the American people, we need to just get rid of that because we don't need greed.
And when you speak of money, we're speaking of the people who go in there with maybe $100,000 salary, right? And then the next year, their net worth is worth more than $3 million.
Or 2.5 billion or whatever, million, not billion,
Millions. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of bad in every country, but the ones that can recourse and restructure, those us. If we can set the course and restructure America and get back to number one, can you imagine? Can you imagine how much that would improve us if we can?
If we can get the ball rolling.
Let's go. And I mean, it's not just. I'm so excited. I'm sweating. It's not just the restructuring of the government, but it's also the restructuring of our household
and society.
It's in society. It's going back to loving your neighbor, helping each other out. It doesn't matter what color we are. It doesn't matter who we voted for.
We're
or red or blue.
still
We're still American. You know, we should not be divided. We should not be divided ever. Undivided. Right? Undivided. I love this country so much. I love its people and everybody in it. Even the ones that are ignorant and they don't see the light just yet or the hope of America. And the ones that hate us, even the ones that hate us, that say, I hate America, but they're American. Well, you have the right to say that because we all have these rights here in this country. It's great.
Right.
It's lovely. I'm so stoked. I need to go run like 4 miles or something. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, dude. I've never been this happy. You know, it gives me hope. It gives me hope. It gives an old man hope. Old 42-year-old man. It gives me hope that our country is going to be brighter for the future.
Well, I hope so because that's my future.
I know.
And I do believe that this country can grow in many different ways, especially that new cobalt mine that's been found in Idaho.
Yeah, you know, I know you kind of like the electric side of things too a little bit, right?
Definitely. I think that the electric side is very important in our future, but at the same time, we can't forget our old roots, which is gas and all those things.
I don't think it's not forgetting our old roots, but I think it's about having a bit of both, because a lot of the stuff that they're pushing, it's not viable. It's like, you know, it's like, how are we going to make
like when you're using gas to transport biofuel materials, then I think that's a little bit ironic.
It's kind of like
it's ironic.
It's whole counterintuitive to the whole electric movement. It's like, okay, well let's go ahead and burn all this gas and diesel, but the ones that were pushing that for net zero was Charles Schwab and the elites. And the reason they were pushing that on America is because here in America, we're in an oil-driven country. That's what kept us number one. That's what keeps our gas prices low.
But now we're not the best.
No, we're not. Russia
We're not
is.
energy independent no more.
Russia's the one that has it all now, and the only reason that happened is because Biden cut us off at the legs because Charles Schwab told him to.
Now China produces the most gold. Russia and Saudi Arabia produce the most oil. And now they're able to dictate what our oil prices are going to be. And currently, it's estimated to be $150 a barrel soon.
Yeah. From $30 a barrel to $150 a barrel in a matter of what, 2.5 years?
And it's 75 right now.
So we need to get back to doing what we do best. And that's men and women working hard. You know, we are producers. We need to continue to produce.
And you know what? When you talk about global warming and all those things, talk about it in a different country right now. Because we are one of the cleanest. We're in the 30s ranks now when it comes to pollution. Now, why don't you talk about China? Why don't you go to their front doorstep? Oh, it's probably because you're going to get imprisoned. Okay, so why don't we speak about it more openly?
Yeah.
Why are you going after America? You're only going after America because it's easier. Now, you're not supposed to do something that's easy.
The whole point.
A whole cause.
The whole point for them to come after us, the whole point that they push the agenda, that China pushes the agenda, that all these other countries push the agenda, is to create a division, right? To create a division here to knock down our, because then we'll be like, oh, well, these 100,000 people say oil's bad. We need to cut these pipelines. Okay, let's cut the pipeline.
But what about the
That's
jobs?
what the other. That's what China wants. That's what Russia wants. That's what everybody else wants because it makes us weaker. It's like if I had an opponent, right, and I was fighting him, and I knew his coach, and I was like telling his coach, oh, tell him to eat McDonald's every day, or I was starving him, or I was like, oh, just give him one meal a day.
Yeah,
And
raise
then-
your prices
then
for your gym, dude.
Then when we fight, he's only had like a couple of meals, or maybe he's been starved out for 3 days, 4 days. I've been eating good. I get in there, I'm nice and healthy. He's all weak and sickly. Then I'm gonna stomp on him.
Right.
That's what they're doing to us. That's just the fighter's view of things. That's what they're trying to do to us.
So
They're
when
weakening
McCarthy
us.
says that the rest of the world is banking on the United States to send more money into Ukraine, well, that's because they want to stop the United States down
Yep.
to a
Make
point.
us weaker.
I mean, we should have stopped at 1 billion.
We should have never even started. That's the thing. That's-
Honestly, yeah.
when we look back at a lot of these things, and of course retrospect, we're looking backwards and we're trying to fix things. When we're looking forward,
Every time we go into a global conflict that isn't mostly ours, except for World War I, World War II, and all those horrific things that have occurred, right? Sometimes we just don't need to meddle in it
yes,
until we understand the full truth.
yeah, and it's hard to get the full truth when most of the media is bought and paid for by one side,
Okay,
right? So that's
Good
the thing.
point. Good point.
It's really difficult for people to determine it, and then you get somebody you like we'll say like an Oprah,
Mhm.
right? Everybody likes Oprah, right? So well, I don't know about now, but everybody liked Oprah for a long time. My mom was one of those people. She was like, when they did the Oprah-fy thing, where Oprah-fy yourself, she took a picture and made herself look like Oprah, right? She was a fan. But you take somebody like her who's been like looking at Oprah for a long time, and they feel like there's a connection. And then Oprah, I'm not saying this is hypothetical, Oprah, don't come after me, but hypothetically, Oprah says, I get a bunch of money from Charles Schwab, or I get a bunch of money from Bill Gates to decide that I'm going to tell my viewers this, and that's what they're going to believe. So that's going to sway. But then when this person says that, then everybody's like, oh, she said, I believe her because we have that connection, right? But there's no connection because she doesn't know who you are. Right? She looks at a screen like we're looking at a screen.
Right.
Like we don't know who you guys are.
But we're trying to put out as much information and as much truth as possible.
As much as we can because it's genuine. What we're saying is genuine. You might not always agree with what either one of us says. It's okay. You can even make a comment or post and we'll talk about it.
Or make a video.
Yeah, or make your own and send us a link to your video and we'll watch it.
Because the thing is, bad publicity, good publicity, still publicity.
Yeah, but it's better if we try and always stay on the side of good.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, well, no, we'll stay on the side of good.
I mean, there's always going to be, between us, there's always going to be, you're not always going to agree with me. I'm not always going to agree with you.
But I'm still going to see you as my dad.
And I'm going to still see you as my son. And I'm never, and it's the same way with my neighbor. Like, my neighbors, we might not agree on a lot of things. But, the thing is I have a respect for them as a person. And that's the thing that a lot of these news agencies that I've seen, they try to take their respect, like just having a respect for that other person being a decent human being, they try to make it to where that's not a human being, they're Nazis, or they're Confederates, or they're, this or that. They're downtrodden, they're riffraff, and we're not. Trying to put other people on pedestals, we're all American. We all have the red, white, and blue flag. That means we all got the Constitution. You can go get a gun if you want. If you don't want a gun, you don't have to have a gun. But you shouldn't have to tell other people not to have guns. It's like, it's one of this place where if you want to do it, do it. You want to be a tranny? Go be a tranny. It's cool. Go ahead. That's all right. That's you. It's not me. Right? That's America. But you want to be gay? You can be gay. It's great. It's America. Because you know what? You're not in Iran. You're not in Iraq. You're not in Saudi Arabia where
We're
you're
not
like,
in Russia.
where you're like, oh, I'm gay, and they're like, oh, you are? Bang. Or they're like, lock them up. And like, you're not in that place. You're here in this great country where you're able to speak freely and, learn about other cultures. That's another thing. this place is such a good place to learn about other cultures and try culturally different food.
Mhm.
You know, it's a wonderful place. I love this place. That's the other thing.
I think.
Speaking of food. Oh, do you want to talk about
No,
more
you're
projects?
good.
Speaking of food, I ate today in Cape Coral.
Okay, what'd you eat?
Shrimp and scallops and lobster strips in a fried basket, or fried clams on a fried basket, and
Now-
it was at Twisted Lobster, and it was glorious. Shout out to the mustache man. That mustache is cool. I don't remember your name.
I'm a little
But
bit
that's
mad
cool.
at you now.
I knew you would be. That's why.
You
That's why
should've-
when you were coming
You should
home,
have spilled any of that down.
on the way home, you were like, "I'm hungry," and I was like, "I'm not."
Well, I'm not. Now I understand why you said, well, I'm not.
Yeah. So if you're in Cape Coral, twisted crab, twisted lobster. Twisted lobster is freaking awesome. Yeah.
And you
Shout
know
out.
my favorite spot now, Mr. and Mrs. Crab?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
definitely.
I don't even know where that is. Where's the Crab
There's
Shack.
just Crab Shack there.
Oh yeah, that's your favorite pot, Mr. and Mrs. Crab. Isn't that SpongeBob?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. Crab Shack.
Well, do you have anything else to tell the people?
Oh yeah. Please subscribe, like, and share. And I love you guys. I love America. I love everybody in it.
And be stoked for the next episode, which is 52.
52. And, bless you all.
Yep. So see you later.
Bye.
Peace.
Woo.